Let me tell you something about the way the world works. When you stop contacting a man, it shakes his world up. Not immediately, not right away. At first he thinks it's nothing. He tells himself, she's probably busy. He scrolls through his phone, half expecting your name to pop up. But when it doesn't, day after day, something in him starts to shift. And that shift right there, that's where everything begins. A man often realizes your value in your silence, not in your presence. That's just how it works. You could be right there beside him every single day, loving him, showing up for him, being available every time he needed something, and he still might not see it. He might not appreciate it. Because some men don't learn through words, they learn through the absence of them. They don't hear your worth when you're speaking. It's when you stop speaking that it echoes. You could be pouring your heart out, checking in, calling, texting, supporting him through his mess, and he could still take you for granted. But the day you go quiet, the day you stop reaching out, that's when something clicks. That's when he realizes, wait, something's different. Something's off. And that's when he starts to feel when he couldn't feel when you were always available. Your value. A man doesn't realize the weight of your presence until it's no longer around to carry him. And listen, it's not because he doesn't care. Sometimes it's just because he's comfortable. He gets used to you being there. You become part of the background noise of his life. Like the sun rising every morning, he assumes you'll always be there. So he stops looking. He stops appreciating. He stops putting in effort. But the day that sun doesn't rise, oh, he notices. The moment he wakes up and there's no good morning text, no sweet check-in, no reminders that someone cares about him, that's when the discomfort starts. That's when the silence begins to scream. And that silence, it starts teaching him. Every second of it becomes a reminder of what he had and what he might have lost. See, when a woman stops contacting a man, it's never just about cutting off communication. It's about energy. It's about deciding, I will no longer pour into someone who can't see how full I've been making their life. It's about reclaiming your time, your peace, and your strength. And that decision, that's powerful. Because when a man sees you step back without drama, without loud arguments, just silence, that's when he knows it's serious. That's when he knows he might have just pushed away something real. He'll try to test the waters. He'll throw out a casual text like, hey, how you been? Or I've been thinking about you. But that's not growth. That's fear. He's not checking on you because he's ready to love you better. He's checking because he's starting to feel the loss. He's realizing that your silence feels worse than any argument ever did. Because when a woman argues, there's still hope. She still cares enough to fight. But when she goes silent, that's when the man realizes he's standing alone now. The ones who really care, they'll feel that silence deep. They'll sit with it. They'll think back on everything you ever did and said. They'll start remembering the things they used to overlook. The way you encouraged him when no one else did. The way you stayed up late just to make sure he was okay. The way you believed in him when he didn't even believe in himself. And then they'll start to wonder, how did I lose her voice? How did I go from talking to her every day to nothing? And those questions won't just sting, they'll haunt him. But here's what he finally learns. Your silence wasn't punishment, it was clarity. It was you deciding to stop wasting your energy on someone who couldn't feel your presence while it was still there. It was you teaching him, not with anger or attitude, but with absence. That's the lesson. And the truth is, the right man, he'll understand. He'll feel the pain of your silence so deeply that he'll move, he'll change. But the wrong one, he'll just be confused, he'll blame you, he'll never look at himself. That's how you know the difference. That's how you know who was worthy and who was just comfortable. Pulling back creates emotional distance that forces reflection. When you stop calling, when you stop texting, when you stop showing up for a man the way you used to, something happens in his spirit. At first, he might feel free, like he has more space, like he can breathe without someone constantly checking on him. But that feeling doesn't last, because the silence that follows your absence, it's not empty, it's loud. It speaks to him, it gets in his head. And soon, that space he thought he needed, it becomes too quiet, too still. That's when the reflection begins. That's when he starts asking himself questions he never bothered to ask before. Why did she stop calling? Why did she stop texting? Did I do something wrong? Was I taking her for granted? See, that emotional distance you create isn't a punishment. It's a mirror. It reflects everything back to him. He sees himself in it, his actions, his choices, his lack of effort. When you're close, he can hide from those things. He can ignore your hurt, avoid your questions, dismiss your feelings. But when you're gone, when your energy isn't around to distract him, all that's left is the reality of how he made you feel. And he can't run from that. He might try. He might bury himself in work, hang out with friends, scroll through social media looking for validation. But eventually, in the stillness of the night, in the silence between distractions, your absence hits him like a wave. And in that moment, he sees things he didn't see before. He feels what he couldn't feel when you were constantly available. That's the thing about emotional distance. It demands awareness. It pulls him out of autopilot. It wakes him up. You were always there, always making the effort, always showing you cared. And he got used to it. He assumed you'd never leave, but when you finally stopped showing up, he had to deal with the reality that maybe, just maybe, you were done for real. And that scares a man. Because deep down, he knows what he lost. Even if he pretended not to care, even if he acted like he didn't need you, even if he said things to push you away, he knows. And now he has to sit with that. He has to sit with the truth that while you were in his life, he had love, attention, kindness, and support. And he didn't handle it right. And don't think for a second that he doesn't feel the shift. He does. He might not say it out loud, but he notices when your name stops lighting up his phone. He feels it when your energy disappears from his day. He remembers your laughter, your voice, the way you made him feel understood. And now in that space where all of that used to live, there's just silence. And silence is the one thing a man can't ignore forever, because it's not just about missing someone, it's about realizing you were the one who brought warmth into his life, and now that warmth is gone. What emotional distance does is powerful. It creates room, not just for him to reflect, but for you to heal. It allows both of you to see the situation clearly. And if he's got real feelings, real depth, real intention, he'll use that distance to figure out how to come correct. But if he doesn't, if he was just coasting, just enjoying your presence without ever appreciating it, then he'll let the distance stretch, and eventually he'll fade into the background where he belongs. But either way, that space you created, that emotional gap, it serves a purpose. It brings truth to the surface. It shows you what he's really about. It gives you clarity. And for him, it forces a level of reflection that only silence can deliver. That's when a man starts to realize what you truly meant. Not when you were speaking, not when you were available, but when you were no longer around to be taken for granted. Men are wired to pursue, not to be constantly pursued. That's how it's been since the beginning of time. A real man doesn't feel challenged when everything is handed to him. He feels challenged when he has to earn it. He feels alive when there's something he wants and he's got to work for it. That's in his nature. But the moment he starts getting chased, when he knows you're always going to text first, always going to call, always going to show up no matter how he treats you, that's when he gets comfortable. That's when he stops trying. Because now the chase is over, and in his mind, he already won. When a woman keeps pursuing a man, keeps initiating everything, keeps trying to fix what he's breaking, she doesn't even realize she's reversing the roles. She starts playing the part he's supposed to play. And it feels natural at first because she loves him. She wants to make it work, but soon she's carrying the whole relationship on her back. And he's just walking alongside, doing the bare minimum. Not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't feel the need to step up. He knows you're going to do it all anyway. But the moment you stop, the moment you pull your energy back, that's when things start shifting. Because now he's not being pursued anymore. Now he has to decide if you matter enough for him to chase you. That's when the real test begins. See, when a man really wants something, there's no pride, no excuses, no delay. He'll call, he'll show up, he'll do what he has to do. But when he doesn't have to chase, when everything is served to him on a silver platter, he loses interest. Not because you're not valuable, but because he never had to earn your presence. Men find pride in pursuit. It gives them purpose. It forces them to evaluate how badly they want something. And if a man won't pursue you, if he won't come after you when you stop showing up for him, then let that be your answer. Let that be the proof you need. Because the right man, when he feels you pulling away, doesn't sit back. He doesn't wait to see if you come back again. he rises. He remembers what he's about to lose. He doesn't let his ego stand in the way of something meaningful. But too many women are afraid to stop chasing because they think he'll forget them. They think the distance will make him move on. But here's what you've got to understand. If you stop chasing a man and he forgets you, he was never going to stay. If you stop reaching out and he moves on like nothing happened, you were never his priority. You were a convenience. You were something nice to have, not something worth fighting for. And that's a hard truth, but it's one that sets you free. The man who's truly interested doesn't need reminders. He doesn't need you to blow up his phone to remember your worth. When you back off, he doesn't take it as rejection. He takes it as a wake-up call. He realizes, hold up, I've been slacking. I've been letting her carry this whole thing. And if he's serious about you, he'll come get you. He'll show up with action, not just words. But if he doesn't, don't chase him. Don't double text. Don't explain your silence. Let him feel what it's like to be without your energy. When you stop pursuing a man, you're not being cold. You're creating space for him to make a decision. You're giving him the chance to lead. And if he's a real man, he'll step into that role. But if he falls back into the shadows, then that distance just revealed what words never could. That's why men are wired to pursue, because the one who chases is the one who values, and the one who values is the one who stays. If he's truly invested, he'll come running. If not, he was never meant for you. That's the bottom line truth that people try to avoid, but deep down, we all know it. A man who genuinely cares, a man who sees your worth, he's not going to let silence keep growing between you. He's not going to just sit there while you fade into the background. He's going to feel it in his chest. He's going to feel that space you created, and it's going to bother him, because real connection doesn't disappear quietly. It screams in your soul when you're losing someone you're not ready to let go of. Now, at first, when you stop contacting him, he might act like it doesn't faze him. He might keep scrolling, keep posting like nothing's wrong. But trust me, if that man was truly connected to you, it's only a matter of time before he starts feeling that shift. Because real men don't just sit still when something they value starts slipping away. When a man is invested in a woman, her silence becomes his storm. It disturbs his peace. It makes him restless. And the moment he realizes that you're not reaching out anymore, that you're not checking on him like you used to, it hits him different. It's no longer about ego. It's about emotion. It's about that deep inner pull that makes him say, I can't lose her. See, some men only move when they think they're about to lose. They don't appreciate the sunshine until the clouds show up. And that's exactly why stepping back is sometimes the most powerful move you can make. Because if he's real about you, he's going to chase you. He's going to call. He's going to show up. He's going to break that silence with effort. But if he can go days, weeks, even months without even wondering where you went, then baby, you didn't lose a man, You dodged a bullet. You've got to stop trying to pull love out of people who don't have it to give. If a man is meant for you, he won't need to be reminded. He won't need to be begged. He won't sit back and gamble with your absence like it means nothing. He'll feel it, he'll carry it, and he'll move on it. You won't have to send him long messages explaining how much you care because he already knows. He felt your love when it was there, and now that it's not, he knows he has to act if he wants to keep it. Too many women confuse silence with failure. They think if they stop reaching out, he'll move on. But the truth is, if he moves on that fast, he was already halfway out the door. If your absence doesn't make him pause, doesn't make him reflect, doesn't make him come back stronger, then he was never all in. You just hadn't stepped back far enough to see it. And that's why distance matters. It's not to punish him, it's to reveal him. It shows you what he's really made of. A man who's truly invested won't let silence stretch for too long. He won't gamble with the chance of losing you. He'll reach out, not out of desperation, but out of recognition that what you two had was rare, and he's not willing to let it go. He'll take accountability. He'll put pride aside. He'll stop playing games. Because when a man is all in, he'll move heaven and earth to keep what he's got. But if he doesn't, then stop chasing, stop explaining, stop wondering. He's just not your person. When you stop contacting a man, the silence that follows will always tell you the truth. And the truth is simple. If he truly wants you, he'll find his way back to you. And if he doesn't, then let him stay gone. You deserve effort. You deserve presence. You deserve someone who doesn't need to lose you to realize what they had. Your absence teaches him what your presence truly meant. Sometimes you've got to disappear to be seen. When you're always available, always giving, always checking in, always picking up the phone and making the effort, he gets used to it. He doesn't even think about it anymore. It just becomes part of his routine. He assumes you'll always be there. He doesn't even notice the small things you do because to him they're just expected. He doesn't understand that love, attention, and loyalty are choices you make every single day. But the moment you stop showing up, the moment you stop calling, stop texting, stop pouring yourself into him, that's when the realization sets in. That's when he starts looking around and noticing something's missing. He doesn't feel the same energy anymore. The emotional support, the words of encouragement, the check-ins, the softness you used to bring into his day, all of that is gone. And it hits him like a wave because now he starts to feel the difference between having you and losing you. And that contrast is what opens his eyes. It's in your absence that he starts to count the value of everything he had while you were around. A man doesn't always recognize the power of a woman's presence while she's right there beside him. Some men only understand love in hindsight. They only realize how warm the fire was after it's gone out. And your absence, that's the cold. That's the moment he starts shivering in a world that used to feel so secure when you were there. And he might not admit it out loud. He might not run to his boys and say, "Man, I messed up." But inside, he's replaying every moment. He's scrolling through old messages. He's hearing your laugh in the back of his mind. He's laying in bed, wondering what happened, what changed. And then it clicks. You changed. You stopped trying. You stopped chasing. You stopped filling in the gaps he never even noticed were there. He starts remembering how consistent you were, how you listened without judging, how you celebrated his small wins, how you always had the right words when his world felt heavy. And now, without you, he feels that weight with no one to help lift it. That's when he starts to appreciate what he took for granted. That's when he starts to understand that your presence wasn't just convenient, it was powerful. It made life easier, smoother, fuller. And now that it's gone, everything feels different. See, sometimes your silence teaches louder than your voice ever could. Sometimes your absence is what finally makes him reflect, because when you're present all the time, he doesn't have space to miss you. But when you step back, when you walk away with grace and no drama, that quietness starts to echo, and he starts comparing. He starts measuring every other connection in his life against what you gave him, and nothing else feels the same. That's why your presence was never small. It was just underestimated. And now in your absence, he's learning. He's learning what real love felt like. He's learning what effort looks like. He's learning that not every woman will ride for him the way you did. And maybe he'll change. Maybe he'll come back with different energy, or maybe he won't. But what matters most is that your absence served a purpose. It showed him the truth. And more importantly, it reminded you of yours. Because you weren't just another woman in his life. You were a light, a comfort, a safe place. And once that's gone, it doesn't get replaced so easily. So if he's sitting in silence now, trust that the lesson is being taught, not through anger, not through begging, but through the power of your absence. And whether he grows from it or not, you've already done your part. The power of walking away creates clarity for you and for him. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop. Stop explaining yourself. Stop begging someone to understand your worth. Stop proving that your love is real. Because when you finally walk away, when you take your energy, your time, your loyalty, and your heart off the table, everything starts to become clearer. Not just for him, but for you too. That's when the fog lifts.